Hey Fab Girls! Today I'd like to discuss with you the whole idea of sustainable and ethical fashion, and I'm going to give you 5 of my top tips on how to make more sustainable and ethical choices in an easy and cost-effective way. If you're new to my channel, and even if you're not, welcome. I'm so happy to have you here. I'm Tracy Gold, and it's my absolute passion to bring you fashion tips that make you look and feel fabulous. A while ago, I interviewed Dawn Gallagher. I'm not sure if you saw that interview, but in that interview, we spoke about sustainable and fast fashion. And she was making a stand and saying, you know, she's become a lot more aware of where fashion comes from and the price that other people have to pay in order for us to have stuff. And I have to say, it was quite a challenge. And, you know, she was very gentle about it. She didn't outwardly challenge me, but it was more of an inward thing. And I started thinking about it, and I actually started doing some research. I found a documentary on Netflix called The True Cost. And that was a huge eye-opener of how many times people are almost in slavery and working in the most awful conditions, sometimes dying because of those conditions, in order for us to have cheap, fashionable clothing. Now listen, I'm a fashionista and I love variety and I love shopping and I love buying things. At the same time, I don't like hurting other people. And so for me, it was really around what are the choices I'm making and how can I do it differently? At the same time, when I started looking into these things, it was pretty overwhelming, I have to admit. You know, trying to understand the whole, you know, is it sustainable? Is it eco-friendly? Is it ethical? You know, all these different factors. And so I put together 5 of my top tips that I'm following to help me make more sustainable choices. Now listen, if this is not for you, there's no judgment here. I'm really just here to share my realizations and then ways of doing it that really are much easier because I felt overwhelmed. Also, what I've realized is that going this route saves you a lot of money. You know, we often think that, well, if I'm going to buy more expensive clothing because they're ethically made, then it's going to actually cost me more in the end and I can't afford it. Actually, as I looked into it, it's more affordable. This way of being and this way of consuming actually saves us a lot of money. And I'll explain why. So the first thing is to become aware of the cost of fast fashion. And there are some very big brands that have really been named and shamed because of this. And if you do want to look into it, then I will put the details in the description below about the movie that I saw, The True Cost. And that's quite an eye-opener. I think for me, I couldn't buy the same ever again. And some of the brands that I have been buying from are some of the brands that have been listed. So it was quite difficult. But at the same time, I think that it's better to be aware and to do things with awareness rather than just to put my head in the sand. And listen, I did do that for quite a while because, you know, I live in South Africa. There's not a lot available. And I just thought, oh, it's just going to cost too much. Actually, when I looked, I realized, yes, it may cost me a little bit more to buy something that's more sustainable, but in the long run, it's actually going to save me money. So whether you want to be aware, I'm gathering if you're listening to this video, then maybe you do want to be aware. So educate yourself a little bit on what are the criteria out there and what are people actually being paid and how are they actually being treated and what is the cost to you as a person too. Decide what is most important to you. Now, it's pretty overwhelming because if you're going to go animal friendly, sustainable, ethical, eco-friendly, all of those factors, it's great if we can get all of them in one product, but generally that's a pretty big ask. But I do think in choosing something that's important to you and making more conscious choices, we are forcing brands to start standing up and listening. And in fact, we are seeing some changes in how brands are handling things. Some are taking huge strides to make their clothing more ethical and more sustainable. Others, not so much. They're just looking at the bottom line. But then, do I really want to support those? So I think it's really around deciding what's most important to you. Do you want to make sure that it's vegan, so there's no leather? Do you want to make sure that they are made in sustainable ways that really help the planet? Or do you want to make sure that the people are treated really well and that it's ethical? And once again, there's no judgment around this. I just think that at the moment, when we're wanting all of those things, it's going to get a little bit overwhelming. Search for brands that have similar values to you. So this may seem completely overwhelming, but actually there's some amazing tools out there. I found this app called Good On You, and it's a free app that you can download on your phone. It doesn't have every brand, but it does have quite a few of the brands, and it is based on the 2017 Ethical Fashion Survey, or report, shall I say. And so they've looked into various different brands, and some of them are absolutely not good enough. Some are making little strides. I'm a little bit nervous about those ones. But then there are some brands that are really trying to make their things more ethical and more eco-friendly. So this can be a really good guide. Also, what I've discovered is that as you start looking for brands that are more ethical and more sustainable, you might find that there are some that you've even been buying. So as an example, for me, I've been buying Melissa shoes. I love Melissa shoes. I love the styling, and they're made of recycled plastic with no harmful chemicals. And I've also done some research on them. They're they're made in Brazil, and they do work with ethical standards. According to them, they work with ethical standards as far as the making up of their products is concerned. So do a little bit of research and then decide which brands do you want to support. For me, I even find if a brand is making quite a big effort, I don't mean just a little bit of an effort, because you'll see some of those, but they really are making quite a big effort, then I want to support them and encourage their effort. If they really don't care, and they don't care how the people are treated and that they are the ones treating them, I'm not so keen to support those brands. A really simple way of becoming more sustainable and ethical and eco-friendly is to wear the clothes that you have, and to buy clothes that you really are going to buy, and buy good quality ones. Now, you will have heard me say this. I mean, I'm all about this. I don't think you have to have a huge wardrobe. I think it's more around having a well-curated wardrobe with a few key pieces that you can mix and match. That makes a huge difference. So even if you're not buying from ethical suppliers or stores or sustainable products, at least if you are wearing the clothes and then you are recycling them. So you're taking them to a thrift store, you're giving them to a charity, you're giving them away, maybe giving them to friends so they don't end up in a landfill. That already is helping a lot. And that will save you money, because that way you're not just buying and consuming and buying more and buying more. I mean, ladies, let's be honest. How many of our clothes in our wardrobe do we actually wear? So maybe from now on, just be more conscious of the things that you're buying and make sure you're going to wear them, and you're going to wear them for seasons to come. The final and easiest way for you to become more conscious and make conscious choices is thrifting. And it saves you a fortune, because you can buy amazing clothes for a fraction of the price. Also, they are already there. They have already been worn and they have already been made. Still though, make sure that you buy clothes, even at a thrift store, that you are going to wear and that you're going to get a lot of wear out of going forward. Jazzy, come here. Okay, come here. Come here. This is Jazz. Hey, Jazz. Boredom alert, mommy. boredom alert. I'm bored. Please just play with me, give me attention. Thanks for watching this video, ladies. I hope you found this useful and it's given you some food for thought. I'd love to hear your ideas and your thoughts about this. I'm not telling you this so that I can make you feel bad about your fashion choices, because I am just as guilty of doing those. I just would like to share with you my journey, and I'd like to share with you ways of doing it really easily and cost effectively. Also, I'm going to be going to New York soon, if you don't know already, and I'm going to be covering a lot of the most amazing thrift places, vintage places, and eco-friendly and ethical brands that I discover. So I'd love to hear from you. Do you know any brands that maybe I'm not aware of? Let's share our information and let's together support sustainable, ethical, and fair fashion.